Hi there. So this is going to be a walkthrough video showing some work I did recently to add OpenGraph images to blog posts on my professional blog at jan.mcsoski.com. So I've had this blog for a long time and it has RSS feeds. Until recently though, when I've posted a post from my blog on something like Mastodon, the post would look like this. The Mastodon server goes out and grabs the title and some text, but it's a little boring. And what I want is for posts to show up with images like this. It's a lot more sort of engaging. So I wanted to add OpenGraph images to my blog posts, and I'm going to show how I do that in my origami site. So the site is built in Web Origami, and the blog posts are structured into folders by year, and then for each year there's a set of posts. And these will be written with Markdown. Some of them have front matter, some don't. And I want to use this information to generate an OpenGraph image. So there are 4 parts to this process that I'll walk through. The first is I wanted a way, given just text, like I have some posts like this one that are just text. There's no images used in this post. So I wanted to have some kind of placeholder image for a post like this. And I could find some tools for doing that online. Most of those tools, unfortunately, seem to be really wired into very specific blog engines or publishing platforms. And that's kind of strange to me because, I want a function and I want to be able to give it maybe a text property and a title property and then get back an image. And that doesn't seem like it should have anything to do with the blog engine that I'm using. So what I've done instead was create a little JavaScript file that you give it a bunch of options like text and title, an optional height and width, and it gives you back a ping image. And that's all it does. This doesn't have anything to do with origami. I needed some way to do the rendering. I looked at using HTML to do the rendering and taking screenshots via a screenshot utility like Puppeteer, but that gets quite complicated on the server to invoke Chrome and or some other browser engine and render images that way. A simpler way is to use the Canvas API, and there's a Canvas package for Node that replicates the browser's Canvas API. I don't use the Canvas API very much, so I'm not really that familiar with it, but this seemed like a good way to go. I did find some libraries that wrap the Canvas API. The problem with that is that then I'm learning some special, some wrapper that is unique to that library. And at least this way, if by using the Canvas API directly, then I'm learning something that actually has general applicability in other contexts. So this function isn't all that long. It's 80 lines of code. Canvas is a very primitive API. You do things like say, hey, I want to fill a rectangle or I want to draw a piece of text. It doesn't even have line breaking, so I've got a very simple line breaking utility here. And then it then converts whatever you paint on the canvas into a buffer that represents a ping image. So the nice thing about origami is we can use the CLI in origami to invoke this JavaScript function directly without having to build some kind of test scaffolding. So here I can say that I want to use that sample thing and I want to have a title and some text. And then I want to send that into, that's going to give me back a buffer, and I can send that buffer into an image file. And if I want, I could set a breakpoint in here and debug. What I get back is an image that's a legit ping file. And if it doesn't do what I want to do, then I can just keep iterating here in my JavaScript editor and then invoking it with specific data. So that's the first step that I had to take, was writing something that was completely divorced from origami or my blog, just something that, given a title and a text, gives me back some sample image like that. So there are a few more steps to work this into the construction of my blog. The first thing I need to do is be able to extract information from an individual blog post that I can then use to render an image like this. Now, this blog has a site.ori file that defines the overall structure of the site. So this is the complete structure of the site. It defines the feeds, the about page, the pages, the archive, everything in the blog. And the start of this process is a little pipeline that takes the folder organized by year of Markdown posts, and it applies a JavaScript file called post data, which will basically convert that information into a plain JavaScript object that has everything structured the way I want. So that function looks like this. I want to do things in JavaScript that JavaScript is good at doing. This kind of code isn't particularly glamorous, but it's very, the fact that it's straightforward actually makes it powerful. So this does things like take the year and day from the file name and combine that with the year from the folder name to come up with a complete date that I can then use in various ways. And in general, this postdata.js file does all the work that I need to do to prepare the data that's going to be needed to render a post in different forms, like HTML, when the user's looking at a post, like one of the index pages in the feed, or also as a preview image. So there's 3 different cases that I decided to handle. The first was to look through the post's Markdown, or HTML in this case, and extract any image that I can find that has a source. So I've got a little function here that uses a regular expression to do that. You could use a parser, or a real parser, to do that. But this was good enough for my purposes. And this will just return back the source of the first image if there is an image. If there is an image, we're going to generate a preview from that. That's going to be so we can scale it. OpenGraph images, I think Mastodon recommends having images that are less than 2 megabytes in size. And I want to be able to just drop full-size images into this project without having to worry to prepare them. I'd rather have my code do that. So for any image that I've got, we're going to resize that. That will also reduce the size of the file. The next case that I want to handle is I have a handful of posts that have embedded videos. And for those, there actually is an OpenGraph preview image generated for you. If you use YouTube, given a video idea, there's a URL to that thing's preview image. So I might as well use that. And then in 2023, I changed the format of my blog posts. Older posts would need to be handled differently, but I don't really care about previews for those. So for any post written in the last 2 years, I want to generate a preview, and that'll be done using the text and title that this function generates. And in either the case where I have an image or I'm generating an image, I'm going to pick a URL where the preview image is going to live. And I'm going to attach that to the set of data that I return. And when I apply this function to a sample post, I get back a bunch of data that looks like this. I have the date in various formats, the HTML of the post, a slug, the plain text of the post, which could be used for a preview, and then the title, where the preview image, everything that I'll need to be able to render this post in a bunch of different ways. Okay, so now we've got, that's the second step complete. We've got something that can generate the data we're going to need to generate these preview images. Now, this particular function is designed to work against a single set of options. What we want to do is scale that up. So step 3 is going to be generating previews for all the posts. So the first thing I do is I have a little helper origami function that decides if a post has a preview, which flavor of preview it's going to be. If it's a post that has a path to an existing image, then all I'm going to do is resize that image. And if the post doesn't have an image, then I'm going to use the title and text and pass that into the little OpenGraph image generator that I just showed, and we'll ask for the file to be generated at the height and width that is preferred for OpenGraph images. So I want to then apply this to all the posts. So in the public area of my site, I've added a virtual previews folder, and this is going to map that set of objects for each of the posts using that preview.ori function that I just showed here. So this is going to generate all the previews. And we can then look at that. So if we look at, let's see, let me start the server. And then we'll look. So here's the blog running locally with all the posts. And then if I ask for the previews folder, these are the previews which are at this moment are being generated dynamically. So some of these will be images that are extracted from the markdown and then scaled. And then some of them will be images which are extracted. I get text and title, and then I use that ogimage.js file to generate the image. So these are all the previews that are being generated. I'm not generating images for the posts, that small handful of posts that use that have a video, because I'm going to use the OpenGraph image from YouTube directly. So with that, the last step 4, is going to be to reference these paths in the pages for an individual post. So that's just a matter, since the data is already there, I edit my main page template and I look and see, hey, if this is a post, then I'm going to add a description using the OpenGraph description tag. If there's a preview image, I'm going to attach that, and so on with this OpenGraph data. And that's all that I need. If we build this, let's go up here. So it takes a few seconds to build the whole site and all the previews. I get my image library is generating a warning for some reason. I don't know why, but here's the build. So these are all the posts. If I look at a specific post, like this was one that had an image. Here are the OpenGraph tags that reference that image. This was here was one that was had a generated image. In both cases, I end up with the same OG image tag. And then in the previews folder, I now have all of the generated images. So here are the ones, some that are generated from title and text, and here are others that are generated based on the first image that was found in the post. So with that, I can deploy that to the server, and now with this OpenGraph support, if I look at a post that I made just yesterday, now I get posts that have that preview image showing up in the social media site or whatever's looking at my blog.